Watch out, it's the warning track.
Welcome into yet another episode. We're up to episode 2, doubling the number of episodes of the warning track. Thank you for joining us today for another episode. It was really fun yesterday, kind of just recording the first one. As I mentioned on that show, for anybody who watched it, big baseball fan. Baseball is my favorite sport, and so really excited for the season. Crazy, it's already less than a month away. I believe the first games are either the 25th or the 26th of March. We're recording this on what is today, March 3rd, in the morning. So yeah, basically 3 weeks away, and the season will be off and running. And so very excited for that. Still got plenty of news to talk about. We'll kind of start at the top of the show with a couple updates, things that I thought were interesting, especially for fantasy purposes. And then after that, just kind of wanted to get back into the CBS Fantasy mock draft. In our first episode, I went through the first 3 rounds and kind of just talked about a player in each of those rounds that I liked at that value, and those who weren't too fond of where they were going. And so in this episode, we'll probably go through 4, 5, and 6. I think that'd be fun to do. I don't know. They probably didn't do benches in this mock draft. Typically, they don't, just so they can save time for their shows. So we'll see how far it goes, but at least want to do a few more rounds even after today. So yeah, like I said, we'll hit up 4, 5, and 6 today. So kind of the first news that I thought was interesting is there was a report from Rays camp for Edwin Uceta, a relief pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. There was a report from the Tampa Bay Times that he is unlikely to be ready for opening day. He's been dealing with a shoulder impingement for a little bit now, and the Tampa Bay Times report quoted the Rays pitching coach Kyle Snyder saying that he's, quote, probably still another couple weeks away from getting back on the mound, unquote. And so that pretty much, I mean, like the report said, pretty much puts him out for opening day. Now, relief pitchers don't have quite as lengthy of a rehab stint as starting pitchers would, but still, there's a big process, bullpen sessions, all that kind of stuff. Whenever he does get back on the mound again, I mean, you're still talking a couple weeks after that, and then obviously he's cutting into his spring training as well as not ideal, and so this kind of throws a loop in the whole closing situation there. So with Pete Fairbanks gone now in the Marlins. A lot of people have assumed just because, I mean, I guess the Rays have usually been, I guess, savvy in this way, if you will, when it comes to not really giving people defined roles, stuff like that. And so I think this is kind of a prime opportunity for Griffin Jax, who was traded to the Rays at the deadline last season, to kind of take over this role. And Griffin Jax put up really good numbers last year and has really the last couple years as well. And so we can kind of see the numbers here. The last 2 years has put up – so last year was a 4.23 ERA. But if you kind of dive a little deeper into it, he had a 2.51 FIP last year, which is really good. According to ESPN, he had a league-high 364 BABIP, which is batting average on balls in play. And had the second widest ERA to FIP in the wrong direction, so like having a better FIP than your ERA. And so considering the high K numbers were still there, he had 99 strikeouts in 66 innings. I think this is kind of a clear sign of somebody who just ran into some bad luck last year. The league average for a pitcher in BABIP is usually around 300, so to have 64 points higher than that, I think is a telltale sign of that, especially since the FIP was nice. His FIP was even better in 2024. He had a 1.94 FIP and had the ERA to back it up. He had a 2.03 ERA, 95 strikeouts in 71 innings, so similar strikeout numbers. And I think the most attractive thing about where Jax is going is that he's going at ADP of 220. So very, very late in drafts. It is possible with the Uceta news that he could bump up a little bit. I could definitely see him going up a round or two. And so, as I mentioned with Fairbanks, I almost wonder if the Rays really aren't as, I guess, fluid or trying to make it a committee as much as people would seem. Not that Fairbanks was amassing insane save total numbers, but each of the last 3 seasons, Fairbanks had garnered at least 23 saves with the Rays. And so combined with that, combined with the fact that Uceda is going to be out for a little bit, and Uceda's put up good numbers in his own right. This is Uceda's numbers here. He kind of had an elevated ERA like Griffin Jacks did last year, but had 103 strikeouts in 76 innings. The year prior had 57 strikeouts in 41 innings. In 2024, he put up a phenomenal FIP as well, but 1.7. Last year, his FIP was more in line with his ERA, which were both a little elevated. So it's possible you could see him kind of come to the mix for a saves when he returns. But, I mean, to me, this seems like a prime opportunity for Griffin Jacks to take it and almost seems like his to lose. And so I just based on kind of where he's going in drafts, like I said, pretty late. I mean, he's going as closer. I thought I had it here. I mean, closing in like the mid-20s in closer rankings. And so, or where did I have it? Or no, this is just more his HP. So, but either way, going late in drafts, I feel like he's somebody who is kind of in a prime spot to take that role, and we'll kind of get into it later with going into the mock draft, kind of where I think values are good and bad and stuff like that. I just think the more often time goes on, you just see closers, even the ones that you would think going in are quote safe. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever safe in the closer role anymore. I mean, it just takes a small little stretch. I mean, we saw Raisel Iglesias last year. There was somebody else that I'm blanking off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, it's just never a certainty. And we have closers going in the 5th round this year. Like I said, we'll kind of get into one of those guys here in a little bit. But yeah, I just think that everything's shaping up for Griffin Jacks with the Uceda news to really take this job. And then the other news I wanted to get into quick is Royce Lewis, third baseman for the Twins, former first overall pick, is dealing with a side issue, right side tightness. Now, the MRI came back negative. It seems like he could be back as early as Tuesday, which is when we're recording this episode. So I definitely don't think that he's in danger of missing any regular season time. Obviously, missing any spring training time is not ideal, but nothing too serious. I guess he's just more a player who does worry me a little bit. So kind of just looking at his numbers here. So he's had essentially 3 seasons with the Twins, and he's dealt with tons of injuries in that time. And as we've kind of seen, each of those 3 years, his numbers have just kind of tanked and kind of dropped a little bit. So in 2023, he only played 58 games, but was, 15 homers in that span, 52 ribbies, had a 921 OPS. Looked phenomenal. Basically what you would expect for, a number 1 overall pick. And then in 2024, played 82 games. Numbers definitely regressed a little bit. Had basically 750 OPS, which is fine. Low average. He only batted .233 that year compared to .309 in 2023. And then last year, I actually saw him play the most games, which was still only 106. And we saw the numbers just continue to regress further. We actually saw some stolen bases from him. He stole 12 bags in 2025 compared to none the year prior. But he had a 671 OPS, batting average basically the same. Power wasn't there, probably just because he was dealing with injuries throughout the season. And so I know third base is very scarce this year, and clearly Royce Lewis reminds me of a Byron Buxton situation, honestly. But I just feel like, and where is he going? Royce Lewis. So right now he's going about 199 in drafts. Now I don't hate that, considering he's going that late, but I just think it's hard to trust him. Considering that you've seen the production decline, whether it's injury related or not, and that the injuries just seem to be so persistent with Royce Lewis. And so those were kind of just a couple bigger notes that I saw that I wanted to touch on today. Now we can kind of just get back into our draft here. So this is round 4, and I think the player that I wanted to touch on first was Brent Rooker. This is somebody who I like at this spot. And so Brent Rooker, we've seen just put up fantastic numbers the last few years with the Athletics. Basically a walking 30-homer guy. And so looking at his 2025, he played all 162 games, which is also good, but had 30 homers, 89 ribbies, 92 runs, 262 batting average, so not insanely good, but also not killing you either, which will take from anybody with batting average these days. Coming off a fantastic season in 2024 where he had 39 homers, 112 ribbies, even threw in 11 stolen bags with nearly a 300 batting average. Brent Rooker has always been kind of one of my favorite players. It's been tough to get him in the leagues I've done the last couple of years, but I really like Brent Rooker at this spot. He still has outfield eligibility across all platforms, and so don't have to worry about him being a DH only anywhere. So that's nice. And considering kind of some of the other guys he's going alongside, I mean, we'll get into my pick that I'm not too fond of here in a second, but guys like Mookie Betts, who appear to be kind of in decline, guys like Roman Anthony, Wyatt Langford, who clearly have the upside, just don't have quite the track record yet. Geraldo Perdomo, who knows kind of where he's at. I know he had a fantastic season last year, but not a lot of really people believed in it, and so. And then other guys like, high upside, but also high injury risk pitchers like Chris Sale, Brian Wu. And so he went 40th overall in this mock draft that CBS did. And so I really like that spot there, especially because I feel like power can just get a little hard to find quickly. And so, like I said, he's basically just a walking 30-homer guy with even greater upside. Compared to his 2024, it was quote, down year, if you will. But still had an OPS over 800. And so I think he's definitely somebody to kind of target and draft to that spot. And then I would say my guy that I'm not super high on there is Roman Anthony. This is kind of a situation not really due to lack of talent or any way. He was former number 1 overall prospect at one point. Put up really good batting average numbers. We have his stats pulled up right here. So he played almost half the season for the Red Sox once he got called up. 292 batting average, 859 OPS. Did have 48 runs in 71 games, which is pretty good. If you look just below, you can kind of see what the 162-game average would have been had he done that. So we're talking 110 runs. Obviously, batting average, all the ratios would stay the same. I think the thing that just worries me a little bit, and this is not really lack of talent. It's more just the ADP. And obviously just considering his talent, he could improve on these numbers and put up way better. But let's just say you take the 162-game average and put that in a 4th-round draft pick. The runs are obviously really good. 110 runs is fantastic. But only 18 homers, 9 steals, 73 ribbies. The batting average is really good. But the plate discipline isn't even necessarily there. He would have walked almost 100 times, which is good, but almost 200 strikeouts. And so I just don't know if that's worth a 4th-round pick. Just basically my same argument that I had in favor of Brent Rooker. When you consider guys like Jackson Merrill, I'd probably rather have Jackson Merrill over Roman Anthony. And then even this is starting to get to the point where there's a lot of good pitchers like Logan Gilbert, Yamamoto. I just feel like there's just some better options there. Now, if he slips into the 5th or 6th round, I'm really liking that a lot, and we'll kind of get in some of the players in those spots here in a second. I think an early 4th, he went right after Brent Rooker in this mock draft at 41. To me, that's just a little high for my taste. Now, moving into the 5th round, my 5th round buy, I would say, is somebody that's very similar to Brent Rooker, in terms of skill set and the type of production you would get, especially if he stays healthy, which is Austin Riley. And so looking at his numbers, now he's dealt with injuries himself too the last couple of years. I know I was kind of just bashing Royce Lewis for earlier in the show. But despite that, has still put up decent numbers. So he only played 102 games in 2025 and only 110 in 2024. OPSs were still either in like the mid to high 700s. And so while production did drop off because prior to dealing with injuries those years, it's not like he was completely irrelevant. But the 3 years prior, so this is from 2021 to 2023, basically played full seasons, 160, 159, 159 games. Was basically just a slightly better Brent Rooker. 33 homers, 38 homers, 37 homers, basically 100 ribbies, basically 100 runs. In 2023 at 117 runs. With an average batting average floor even a little higher than Brent Rooker, batted 303, 273, 281. And so obviously you're banking on the health, which, I guess you could say about anybody essentially. But all things considered, getting him in the 5th round, and we were talking earlier about how third base is just such a shallow position this year. I think that's a very good value, especially if you don't get a guy like Jose Ramirez in the 1st round. But also, even if you did, Austin Riley in theory is going to put up fantastic numbers. And so I really like him at that spot, especially considering kind of some of the other people going there. This is kind of where the closers seem to be starting off. You have guys like Josh Naylor, who is fine. I guess it kind of just depends on how you feel his stolen base production will look. He's still fine otherwise. He still had 20 homers, 92 ribbies, 80, but I just don't know if the 30 steals is legit. High batting average, too. He did bat 295 last year. It was a fantastic season. But we have C.J. Abrams going in the 5th round, Corey Seager. I guess we can kind of just get into my the pick that I'm not super high on in the 5th round, which is Mason Miller. And this has absolutely nothing to do with his talent level. I think Mason Miller is absolutely fantastic. His last 2 years have looked pretty much identical. He has 104 strikeouts each of the last 2 seasons. Has pitched roughly 60, 65 innings, really good ERA, 249, 263, FIP numbers to match it up, really low whips, high K per nines. And so... And he's got the role on lockdown now that Robert Suarez is no longer with the Padres. And he looked absolutely phenomenal with the Padres when Mason Miller joined them at the trade deadline. In 23 innings, only had a .77 ERA, almost doubled his strikeouts in the amount of innings he pitched. He was absolutely fantastic. To me, I just think, kind of what I was talking about with Edwin Uceta and Griffin Jax. I just feel like closers are just so volatile. Even just like injuries, could still happen. And Mason Miller definitely was dealing with injury concerns kind of during his breakout season in 2024. And so start drafting closers in the 5th round. And he's not the only one. In this mock draft, Mason Miller went with the 49th pick. So the very first pick in the 5th round. In theory, the guy who had that turn, the round turn, could have picked him in the 4th round. But yeah, Edwin Diaz went 3 picks later at 52 overall. And then Andres Munoz in the back half of the 5th round at 56. It just seems like, you're passing up on some really good starting pitchers here, like Max Fried, depending on how you feel on DeGrom, Cole Reagans. Like I said, guys like Austin Riley, Corey Seager, obviously is a huge injury risk, but has tons of upside as well. To me, just picking a closer that early just seems like such a risk, just an absolute risk. But, like I said, don't hate me. Same with Edwin Diaz and Andres Munoz too. Fantastic talents. I think about as quote safe as you can get at the closer position. I just don't know if I'm on board with that one. That just seems a little rich for my taste. And then kind of getting in the 6th round quick, we just have a few more minutes. My pick I'm in favor of here is a pitcher, George Kirby. Now, I've always been pretty fond of George Kirby. I really like the types of pitchers who may not have the crazy K upside, but they're at least, what you're going to get out of them. And George Kirby is pretty much a lock for a really good whip, an okay amount of strikeouts, maybe about a K per nine, maybe a tad less. Just good ratios all around. Now, last year, he did deal with a shoulder issue that kind of took the beginning of his season off track, and I think we kind of saw that reflected in his stats. He actually had the highest K per nine rate of his career, but he had a 4.21 ERA and only 23 starts. Whip numbers not quite as good. I mean, you can see here he posted, a 104, 107 whip up to a 1.19. And so I think this is a case where the shoulder definitely bothered him. Heading into the season, he missed some spring training time. Like I said, I think missed about a month and a half, if I remember correctly, with the shoulder, and just never fully recovered after that. You're not really getting much of a discount on him despite that, but I think George Kirby is somebody that I really like in this spot. And then kind of just my guy that I'm not super high on here is Shea Langeliers in the 6th round. And so I think he is let's see here. I want to say he was the 3rd catcher off the board. Yeah, because Cal Raleigh went in the 3rd. Yeah, very beginning of the 3rd. William Contreras with the Brewers went in the 5th. And then, Shea Langeliers at the beginning of the 6th. And then Ben Rice not far behind him, who has catcher eligibility. But to me, he put up fine numbers. So we can pull up the numbers here. 31 homers, 72 ribbies, 73 runs, 277 batting average after basically sitting around like 220 each of the last 3 years prior. I think this is more just a case where even if he repeats, which I don't know if he'll repeat, especially in the batting average category. I think the homers are pretty safe. So in 2024, he hit 29 homers. 2023 had 22. So I think you're a safe bet to at least get 25 to 30 homers out of him. But the batting average worries me, and then especially considering catcher is pretty deep this year. I just think, you can get guys like Hunter Goodman in the 8th round. There's obviously a lot of the picks in the later rounds, like Francisco Alvarez, Samuel Basallo, Gabriel Moreno with the Diamondbacks. And so, to me, I just think, especially considering there's so much good pitching at this point still, other guys like Riley Green, Jarren Duran, you can still get power. Vinny Pasquantino, there's still a lot of ways to get power at that position outside in your lineup outside of just the catcher. And I just don't know if he's that much of a premium to draft him that early, unlike a Cal Raleigh or William Contreras. And so, not the biggest fan, especially like early 6th. He went ahead of pitchers like Logan Webb and Kirby, who I mentioned earlier. Like I said, offensive guys like Riley Green, Vinny P. Even kind of getting into the 7th round, Joe Ryan, Christian Yelich, Alex Bray, yeah. So, I think it's just a little rich for my taste, especially just considering how deep the catcher position is this year. Well, that's pretty much all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you tuning in for another episode of The Warning Track. It's been, like I said, really fun to do so far. Really excited for the season to get going here in a few weeks. We're going to continue spring training, draft coverage, probably just get into the latest news and notes always at the top of the show and dive into other stuff like that from there forward. So I appreciate you guys joining. Thank you for watching another episode of The Warning Track. For your host, Clayton McMahon, I wish you guys a great rest of your day.
Watch out, it's The Warning Track.